So on today's show, we are concluding the Beatitudes Series. So stay tuned for another dope show because we will be talking about backbiting, backstabbing, whatever you want to call it. So stay tuned and we'll be right back right after this. So good evening, everybody. I got it right this time. Welcome to Table Talk. I'm your host, Mr. Table Talk, Javon Lawrence, and we have another exciting show for you today. The title of today's show is Rise Above Hate. And this is brought to you courtesy of the Table Talk Devotional that is posted on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. So I want to thank everybody that's watching live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on whatever, even on if you're watching on our app, on the Table Talk app. I appreciate you for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get this show started. Let's connect with one another and get some shout outs out. What's going on, Bobby? I see you. Good evening. Good evening, Minister Walker. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Mother Beetle. I miss them hugs. I really do. It's been over a year. I miss them hugs, Mother Beetle. Hey, yo, what's going on, bro? My brother Marcus right there tuned in. All right, so like I said earlier, we're talking about rise above hate. We're going to be getting into backstabbing, backbiting, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take our time in this. So this might end up being a 2 or 3 part show. I know I'm not going to get through all of it today. So this is technically part 1 of Rise Above the Hate. So as you know, we just going to go ahead and get into this. I have a question. My question is, why do people backbite? Why do people backbite? That is my question for you today. Oh, shoot, your brother, my brother. Charles, what's going on, bro? I was going to call you by your... I'm reading this comment. Hugs will travel, absolutely. So, again, why do people backbite? I'm just going to throw this out there already. Today we might be stepping on some toes. Today we just might be stepping on some toes. So please don't be offended. We really about the table talk today. We are really about the table talk today. So, and I want y'all to be honest. Somebody tell me, why do people backbite? I want to know. Well, you already know I got the answer, but I want to know what you think. Why do people backbite? I'm so interested to see y'all comments. Why do people backbite? And if we don't get any answers. We, we don't, okay, hold on. Let's see. We have jealousy, envy, intimidation, and plain old pride. I like that, Minister Walker. Plain old pride. My brother Marcus says some people just like the facts. Some people just like the drama. Some people just like envy and hate. Thanks, Bobby. Envy and hate. Y'all gonna help me teach today. I promise y'all are. Y'all are gonna help me teach on today. So let me throw again. Say it again. I may say this a couple of times. So just remember, from the couch, from the table to wherever you are, we are not trying to offend anybody. This is just table talk. Now I got a quote. My quote says this, and I'm honestly not going to try to pronounce this name. I put it on there so we can pronounce it together in our heads. I'm pronouncing it in my head right now, and I'm pretty sure you are too. So, but this gentleman, I hope it's a gentleman, he said, backbiting is an attempt on one who is incapable of doing better himself. I'm going to say that one more time. Backbiting is the attempt of one who is incapable of doing better himself. So let's just go ahead, grab your coffee or your juice or your water or your soda, whatever it is that you want to grab. Come on, y'all. Let's table talk. Now, our foundational text is coming from, and like I said, we're still in the Beatitudes series, and I'm not just making anything up. This actual backbiting is actually a part of the scripture, and we finna get into it. Matthew 5 and 11. We will be dealing with the last two verses of the Beatitudes from the author Matthew. So Matthew 5 and 11 says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manners of evil against you falsely for my sake." Verse 12 says, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." So let's just go ahead and put the pure truth on the table, and let's get into it. To finish off this Beatitudes series, we're going to be looking at, again, like I said, backstabbing, backbiting, however you want to word this, however you want to say, because, there's different ways to say this. There's different ways to bringing across the objective of backstabbing. Now, before we get into that, I kind of want to look at the perspective that we have, because it says all these things that's done for my name's sake. We say a lot of stuff that we do for Christ, but I really want to look at how we understand and how we teach Christ before we get into it. And what I mean by that is, okay, it's said that he's teaching his disciples right now about the radical way of living. So when we think living for Christ, we think radical, but do we really know what the word radical means? The word radical, and it's the key principle of full circle. And I'll explain that in 1 second. The word radical means of or going to the root or the origin. Again, it's of going to the root or the origin of something. Now, with full circle, when we break stuff down full circle, it's full circle because we're trying to get back to the original meaning, the original content of what the Bible is really saying. Because of misinterpretation of the Bible, misunderstanding, or just misunderstanding or misinterpretation, we really don't get the full understanding of what the Bible is really trying to tell us. So we really, on this platform, we really try to show you what the word is really saying, and we try to encourage you at the same time to study for yourself. So when I normally think of the word radical, I was thinking like out of line or just not normal. That's a good word. I thought radical meant not normal, but in our what we're trying to do right now, it means going back to its original purpose. So living a life of Christ means going back to the original purpose, the original goal of what God intentionally planned the way of life to be. So my question to you is, what is that way of life? That what is the origin of what God wanted? In order to understand that, we have to go back to the garden. We have to go back to when he created Adam. He created Adam for one purpose, for relationship. God wanted a relationship with us. So in doing that, he created Adam. Then to continue the relationship on, God created Eve. Now, with doing that, this is where the original purpose or the original our comprehension of relationship should, even though it was the sin, and even though that's, we like to look at that as this is how it was, but it got messed up. But God wants that way of life back for us. That's the original purpose of the relationship of what of how we're supposed to be. So in saying that, Christ wants us to go back to the original purpose, relationships. Now, there are some things that blocks relationships. That's why Jesus also is teaching that persecution is the result of wanting to bring relationships back. I'm going to say that again. Persecution, being persecuted, is a result from wanting to bring relationships back, or this principle of relationships, because relationships is key. Relationships was the purpose of us being born. So it's all about how we handle relationships with people. So I have said all that. Let's go ahead and get into backbiting. The first word we want to look at is revile. This has the Greek definition of the state of being famous or well known for some bad quality or deed. Again, it's to be made known or to be famous for a bad act or a bad thinking or something like that that you're doing. That is the purpose of this word, making your name known in a bad way. So he said, blessed are those who make your name known in a bad way. So wait a minute, rewind it back and slow it down. It didn't click. There we go. Do I even want to go here? Yeah, let's go here. Then we're going to go back. One of the most important ways this happens is when the source comes from someone who is close to you, or matter of fact, this takes effect when we even do it to ourselves. Hence this. Let's use social media. Sometimes bad source, we are made famous from bad sources off of things that we post on our own. The only way someone is going to get some truthful information about you that is not good, that will revile, it has to come from a source, which is you. But there's a difference between someone saying false things about you and someone saying something that is true about you. Now, the truth can really only come from you. Even if someone is watching from the side, they can only get a glimpse or perception of what's really going on. But the truth of the matter of what's bad in you can only come from you. So that's like when you're talking to someone and that comes up, something comes up and you're confiding in someone and you're trying to help someone and you're talking to someone, or you're just trying to get some stuff off your chest, or you're just simply just trying to, you're trying to get some help. Now you're giving bad information that someone else can take and give to someone else or tell someone else. So wait a minute, rewind it back and slow it down again. This goes into 100% effect when you get serious about the original purpose of God, which is relationships. When you're trying to mend and build relationships, this is when your bad get put out. And then they say little stuff like what's done in the dark will come into light. That stuff comes out. But here's the thing. It kind of makes us not want to talk to people also. We don't want to tell people, we watch this. We don't want to go get help. Why? Because we're afraid someone's going to take our truth and tell some. It seems like in the church community, we are more concerned about hiding our faults rather than getting help for them. It seems like we have a secret society of sin. Like, we have a show on Saturdays. And if you watch the show on Saturday, if you don't watch the show on Saturday, and if you said this or if you thought this, I'm going to say this again. We are not trying to offend anybody. And it's okay, though. It's all right, because this is just table talk. Told you I'm going to step on some toes today, but we have our show on Saturdays. We have Sound Off and Uncut. And everybody knows that these shows is a little bit different than what we do it was on Sundays, but now it's the regular table talk. Now, the purpose, now I'm going to put this out here. The purpose of them Saturday shows is so we can help people understand the mistakes that we made and try to help other people come out of their mistakes, not make the mistakes, or we're just like, okay, we're guys or we're ladies and we've done these things and these aren't the things that we should be doing. There has been a consistent conversation that I've heard that people are saying we really can't get into, okay, thank you, Marcus, self-image. We really can't get into the show because of the stuff that you're talking about. Now, somebody who reads their Bible, I need you to tell me this. Don't it say in the Bible that we are overcome by our testimonies, right? That's biblical, right? You have us on here trying to help people. And then here's another thing. You can't even, your testimony help you overcome. This is how. When I tell you my testimony, I have this platform that at any time anyone can come on here and be like, no, this dude, he be did it. If I tell you first, I'm overcame by my testimony because you can't tell on me because I'm going to tell on myself first. So our testimonies are supposed to help people overcome, including ourselves. But the problem is we're not willing to tell our testimony because it takes us out of the secret society of sin. We're so, and Marcus said it, we're so concerned about self-image that we're really not, the testimonies that we're used to hearing is, I'm pretty sure New Year's Eve or special services, we had a testimony service, right? And what did you hear? God has brought me from a mighty long way. My question is, well, where did he bring you from? God has been so good to me. How? He picked me up and turned me around. He placed my feet on solid ground. How? What did you go through? How can you help me? That's okay, Light. How can you help me understand that I'm in this situation and what you're saying can help me? We're past the age of you tell me something and I just believe it just because you say it. You can't build relationships without being able to relate. You can't build relationships without even being honest. You can't build relationships without being authentic. And that's the problem. We've mastered the art of being unauthentic. So when you have someone who is being authentic, it's weird. Why is someone telling you their testimony and giving you a resolve as to how to help you weird? Somebody please answer that to me. Because I just want to know, how is being authentic weird? Where authentic should not be weird. And I'm sorry, when you're not being honest, you're lying. So how is lying normal and being authentic weird? I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. But the flip side to this is, when you have people who want to be authentic and want to get help and want to talk to you about something, their business gets spread all over the place. So where can I go? Who can I talk to? Who's going to help me get over this? Who's going to help me? And like I said, I have no problem telling people that, look, I've done this, I've done that. Look here. Okay, let's get into, I'm not cutting this off. I'm going to get into, we need to understand what backstabbing is. We really, because I'm pretty sure we think we know what backstabbing is, but I'm about to help someone understand what backstabbing is. Backstabbing, and I got 10 minutes. I told y'all I'm not getting through all this. I'm already knowing. So, backstabbing or types of backstabbing. Let's talk about types of backstabbing. Now, the first one we see is open or just plain old backstabbing. This is when someone that saying something, okay, I'm sorry. Open backstabbing is saying something that is true about a person in his absence in a way that would deframe or saying something about someone that would discredit them behind their back. Now, I want to put this out here also. When it comes to, there's a difference between getting help to pray for someone and talking behind someone's back, discrediting someone. What are your motives for talking to someone about something? And also, if you're putting your business out there and people talk about it, you can't necessarily call that backbiting either, because you're putting your business out there. Again, like I said, with social media, you're telling on yourself. So plain old backbiting is when behind someone's back, you're trying to discredit them with a truth that they told you. Now, the next type of backbiting is backbiting with slander. Now, this is considered when we report what we hear, not even from the source of the person. It's coming from a place where someone told us secondhand, or we were rubbernecking. What is rubbernecking? Just sticking your nose in a conversation where it doesn't belong. Now, you get this information, and what you take, you don't get facts from it. You take what is said, and then by the time you get it and you take it to someone else, you've done distorted it even more. It's like that illustration with the cans, or my spiritual dad, I think I saw him on here. He says this. He says, like, when someone tells you something, if you pass that same message down to 10 people, by the time it gets to the last person, the story is going to be changed, perverted, or perverted means just twisted all up, or it's just going to be a whole totally different story. And all of us have been through it. I've been through it. Before I really got into a relationship with my wife, it was a rumor going around that I was breaking up a happy family, that I was breaking up a happy home, like I was talking to a married woman. But here's the thing, nobody didn't know the truth to the fact that, okay, I was going through my divorce, she was going through her, and she was in the process, but she just didn't know how to take the steps to go about doing it. But I'm a homewrecker. I'm the preacher that's messing around with married women. You're trying to mess up my character. That's what was trying to be done. They were trying to discredit me. Slander. That is an example of slander. But if you would have known the whole inside scoop, you would have known that just wasn't the way it was. You didn't know her situation, you didn't know my situation, but you had an assumption and you decided to just roll with it. So that is backbiting with slander. Next, we have hypocritical backbiting. Hypocritical backbiting. This is the most shameful kind of backbiting there it is. And you know why? Because hypocritical backbiting is when you have fault yourself. You have issues yourself. You're not perfect. And that's it. Everybody on this line should be like, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect yourself. But what you're doing is you're trying to take the light off of your sin, the secret sin society, and you're placing it on someone else. You're being a hypocrite because you got issues too. So there's no way anyone should be talking about anyone because we all have issues. So that is hypocritical backbiting. The next one is secret backbiting or hidden. Now, this is what they say, you don't have to speak to be a backbiter. This is something that you're thinking because it starts in your mind first and eventually it's going to come out. And I know this isn't really popular, and I know because, like I said, I expected to step on some toes today, but that's okay because even when we're secretly or even pulling someone off to the side and talking about it, doing it secretive, that's still a form of backbiting, and that is still not. And all of these things are not about building relationships. How can you build a relationship when you're destroying someone's character? Let's go on to the next one. Backbiting with tail bearing. What is tail bearing? Tail bearing is when you get a word, and it's kind of like what it was earlier. You get some information from one person, and you decide to make it juicy and make it more gossip worthy, and you take it and playing the game of telephone, and you take it and you make it even worse than what it really is. That is tailgating. You're telling tales. You're adding to a story. You're adding to the truth of a person to make them look even worse. Now, again, there are times that we have conversations and we're trying to get an assessment, or we're trying to get to help someone. But anytime we're doing this to destroy someone, to defame someone, to make them famous in a bad way, this is backbiting. This is not good. And the last one, I think this is the last one. The last one is nope. The last one is mass backbiting. When you're doing it like you're making someone look bad in public. It's almost like making fun of them, making jokes of them, I guess you could say, having a good time at their expense to a truth that they told you, exposing them in a way that is not helping them. Next one is shared or common backbiting. Now, I got to look at this one. The person who commits the backbiting is not the one that uttered or replied, or it was implied to. The one who listens to it willingly or is likely listening to the backbiting. So this is saying that when you're partaking backbiting, you're a backbiter. If you don't stop someone where they are when they're defaming someone, relationships, if somebody is talking about your girl, if somebody's talking about your wife, someone's talking about your boyfriend, someone's talking about your husband, what are you going to do? You're going to check them and say, wait. You're not going to sit up here and talk about my people like that. Your friends, relationships, real relationships. We still talking kingdom here. We're talking about backbiting, but we're talking kingdom principles of what we should be doing. You should be stopping them where they are, but when you're taking part, when you're inhabiting the backbiting, you become a backbiter because now it's guilty by association. That is what this backbiting is. I got 2 minutes left, so I think that's the last one on this one. Yep, I got through that part. So next week, we're going to be talking about 6 types of backbiting. And on top of that, we're going to come back and we're going to give a resolve. Like I said, on the Saturday show, we talk about all this stuff. We are overcome by the words of our testimony. We give you our testimony, but also we give you a resolve as to where we went wrong and how we fixed it. I can't stress it enough. We have to be more open and honest, but the only way we can do that is if we stop taking people information and stop making them comfortable or making them uncomfortable or feel a certain type of way, because that's the whole thing. Why am I going to come talk to you and you're going to tell my business all up in the street? So bring it in. I see my numbers went back up. So bring it in. I hope y'all still love me. I really hope y'all still love me. If this show, if this one right here has touched and agreed with you in any way, please put 3 emojis to tell me how this show, if it's good, if I went too far, even if I went too far, let me know if I went too far. Maybe if maybe I don't know, but part 2 will be next week, and I will see you then right here on Table Talk. I gotta get my ending. Here we go.